1. I work for an insurance company. I took a call today from someone who rang us last week about their father's policy. Follow-up from a call last week. The previous call took them through standard procedure to get a policy backdated, and they lost the email to send proof to, so they wanted to know what it is. They put Dad on the phone and he ID'd himself, so I could talk about what is required. New system, so currently 2 procedures in place dependent on start date of policy. I had to find the policy to determine correct procedure. Dad does not have a current policy. They insisted their father's policy is with us, it isn't. They didn't pay it last year. We're expensive, so I imagine they went elsewhere. I've worked there 14 years. I know how to find a policy if it exists. It doesn't. They are not insured with us. They did not like this information.
I rang last week, said the customer. I spoke to a consultant, and she told me that I was insured. She found the policy with no issues. I put my father on the phone, and he identified himself, and she found the policy in his name.
I pushed back. The policy isn't with us. She can't find something that doesn't exist. Customer insisted I was wrong. If you think it's with us, find me a policy number. Oof. She didn't like that at all.
So what I want you to do for me today is reach out to your manager. I want them to listen to the call and determine why she found the policy when you can't. She cancelled with the date I called and then said I could call and get it backdated further.
So we listened to the call. She was lying. 1. She said she put Dad on the phone so we could discuss the policy. No, Dad was never on the phone. 2. She said the consultant found the policy. The consultant didn't even look for the policy because they did identify the caller and could see the caller did not have authority to discuss any policies not in her name, which she was told. Privacy law is strict in Australia. We will lose customers before we breach privacy law, with zero hesitation. The possible consequences are huge. 3. She said the consultant cancelled the policy on the day she called, and she only had to get it adjusted. Nope. Again, consultant didn't even look for policy. There was zero conversation had about cancelling the policy effective immediately, and then adjustment to be made. Literally none. The consultant refused to talk to her in anything but the most general terms about our rules. The consultant couldn't see the policy. They could do nothing but general. They gave them information based on what the majority of policies have to go through, which is also the most strict of the 2 procedures. But at no time did they give any information they'd found the policy. The opposite happened. I don't get it. The customer knows none of what she told me actually happened. She knows she didn't put Dad on the phone. She knows the consultant didn't say they found the policy. She knows the consultant said she cannot discuss any policies the caller doesn't have access to, and that they were advised they do not have access to any policies in anyone's name. She knows the consultant did not say they were cancelling a policy. Why ask for the call to be listened to? Because,
you'll see she found it,
when she knows that isn't what happened. I don't get it. Why? 2. This one was a doozy. I work as a fraud analyst for a third-party fraud monitoring company for financial institutions in a call center type role. I answer a call from a gentleman who was very, very angry that his card refused to work. I start off trying to identify the guy. He didn't answer any of our automated questions, and if I don't know who you are, 1, can't help you. 2, can't tell you jack for security reasons. This guy proceeds to go on a rant about how if he doesn't get his $7 cigarettes, he's going to flip, like he's not already doing that. Eventually, he finally tells me who he is and answers the security questions. So, the fun part. As I am looking through this fraud alert, I explain what's going on to him. There was a fraudulent transaction for Best Buy that wasn't his. Unfortunately, our system didn't stop it, and he had overdraft set up, so his account went negative. Our system is also set up to automatically lock cards once we've determined the transaction is fraud, per the bank's policy, not ours. As I explain this, the man starts getting more and more belligerent, and I can't understand him through his thick Jersey accent. He yells slurs at me that I locked his card. I inform him that this is recorded, and the bank will quite literally have this call on file and can lock his account for being disorderly. He doesn't care. I try to convey that he literally cannot use the card, because at this point the card literally can only be turned on by the bank. There is nothing I can physically do. Ooh, he does not like that at all. Keeps cussing and calling me slurs, then hangs up. So anyway, I called the bank and let them know he was coming. They said they would review the call and possibly call him. A few hours go by and the guy actually calls me back and immediately goes on a rant about how I suck and we're a scam. Mind you, I had him on hold and called the bank. He never called them, so I transferred him to them. They were so happy to take him too. That lady at the bank was freaking ready to roast him. Cue angry customer yelling at bank lady who couldn't care less and essentially threw their policy book at him for being a dickhead. I was new at the time and super flustered, and the guy took that and ran with it. So I am so thankful for the bank customer service lady for defending me. My manager doesn't work weekends, and I hadn't talked to any of the other managers at the time, so transferring him to them was off the table mentally to me. I couldn't really be offended by what he said anyway, since I couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. 3. Here we go again. Another last-minute rollout of services to a client who has been promised the world in a gold-plated basket by my colleague. I got the call. The new client is a go. It's going to be a slog, 60 computers. We need to run around to each computer and get our software on them and rip out all the previous company stuff. Those words from my colleague were enough to give me a migraine the size of Neptune. It's like the scene from The Matrix, when it's revealed the machines keep the humans in a simulation of 1999 at humanity's peak. His knowledge seemed to stop then too. We need to be there from 7 a.m. so we catch them when they come in. We need to get them onto the new Wi-Fi and get our software on there, get them configured for the new VPN, swap the antivirus client, patch them, and deploy all our older software. If we grab 2 or 3 USB sticks, we can work on multiple computers at the same time and be finished by 7 p.m. as they're a nightmare to get off their machines. Oh dear God, why? I create all the automations for my company and its clients. I've been doing this for years. He knows I do this, and I can automate 99% of the functions we require in minutes. My brain went into defensive mode. I heard the words, but had bypassed them from actually being processed and dumped them into the blah 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 waffle waffle bin. To defend my sanity, I logged into their Intune portal. Oh look, 60 computers checked in, and all communicating without issue. Hajirama, are you listening? Hold please, caller. What? Give me a minute, I'm almost done. Done with what? You need to call the other client and tell them you need to postpone your visit. This is urgent. No. Did you not hear what we need to do? You are canceling that visit and coming with me tomorrow. How about no? I have just repackaged our agent installer as an Intune WinApp and applied it to a new security group in Entra. But how are we going to get Intune rolled out to them? He thinks it's a piece of software that needs installing. It took 30 minutes to show him and break it down in a way he can understand. So, forget about your USB sticks and running around. I deployed the new Wi-Fi details in Intune last week. At midnight, when we are officially on contract, we make the computers members of this security group. They will get our RMM agent deployed, and the procedures I have created for the client will push the new printer queues, install our antivirus, deploy the new VPN client and its config. No runny-roundy, no USB sticks, no local admin passwords. It's all automated now. He's on site now. He has his USB stick in hand. He's struggling to comprehend how they are joining the Wi-Fi without his help, or thinking he has done a great job, and that the 7 machines he has visited already have everything we require done to them. I don't have the heart to tell him that the 50 machines that have come online so far have all succeeded. 4. My second call of the day today was this genius old lady. She wanted to update her address, so I started to verify her identity. I asked her for the address we have on file, and she gave me her old address. It didn't match. I started to ask her for her new address, but she ignored me to get the most recent letter we had sent her, and told me that I'm wrong because the address on the letter is her old address. I kept trying to ask her for the new address because she had probably already updated it, and she kept talking over me. Then she finally gives me her new address, and I tell her that's what we have. You'd think she'd be grateful that it was already done, like most fully grown adults in this situation do, but no. She lays into me because I supposedly forced her to go searching the house for her letter while she was having a heart attack, thinking there was something wrong because I didn't just tell her the address had already been updated. She made sure to tell me she's a delicate 73-year-old woman, and what I did to her was not right. And I'm not ashamed to say, I gave it back to her. I really don't care. Our calls aren't recorded, and I'm not going to be talked down to and berated by someone over something this stupid. I told her that there was no way I'd have known if the address we had was her new address, and tried to explain that she hadn't given me a chance to get the new address from her, but, of course, she talked over me and kept telling me how bad of a person I am for making an old woman worry like that. In my line of work, we are allowed to end the call if the call is going in circles or the person is mistreating us. So I told her that I was no longer going to continue to allow her to speak to me like that, and wished her a good day. Then I hung up. I don't care that she was probably embarrassed that she changed her address already and forgot. I get a lot of those calls from the elderly, and never have they ever had such an overreaction to it. They usually laugh it off. It happens, regardless of your age. It's easy to forget small stuff like that. She should be embarrassed about her behavior. Before anyone asks, I didn't notice any signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, and I've talked to enough elderly people, because most of my job has me exposed to the elderly and disabled, to notice signs of that, and she didn't even have a moment's hesitation on answering the questions. She just misplaced her anger at me, most likely because she's one of those people who has to have 100% control of everything in their lives. And that was the most ridiculous thing to do at 9 a.m. 5. Hiya. To start off, I have been working in my customer service job for almost 1.5 years now. I started as an inbound agent for 8 months, working rotational 11-hour shifts with unfixed 3-day offs. Thankfully, I am now off the phone and working as a chat support. Being on the chat queue is so much more comfortable. 2 shifts only, either from 10 to 7 or 11 to 8. Fixed days off, no rush queue most of the time. However, it pays less in comparison to the inbound, and the metrics are somewhat harder to meet, but I can manage to do well most of the time as a stutterer. Honestly, working on the chat support has saved me a lot of anxiety and speech blocks. Now I feel like I'm stuck with this job. No improvement, just secure income and relatively comfortable working conditions for me as a stutterer. So, I've been applying for different roles here and there, just to prepare myself for the job market in case I quit or got fired. That way I would have some sort of experience in a field that I can grow in. I'm not very career-oriented, but I want to seek security and some time for myself, as I work according to another country's laws and time zone, holidays, etc. I've mainly applied for HR-related jobs, particularly in recruiting to be more specific alongside teaching, knowing that it will pay much less in return for the experience that I will gain, hopefully. Recently, I have received 2 job offers. First offer, a role at a very small startup office, providing recruiting services for other companies. Pros, it's near home. Would likely be a good first step into the HR field, and offers medical and social insurance. Cons, it feels like another call center job, and the pay isn't very rewarding, and it requires working 6 days a week. Second offer, a remote job as a language teacher. Pros, flexible hours, full-time or part-time, and I enjoy teaching. Cons, it's also a 6-day work week. The pay is lower, and there's no medical or social insurance. I feel torn between leaving my secure customer service job and jumping into the unknown. I'm unsure if it's truly worth it. As I mentioned, I am not career-oriented and don't have any bills to pay, but I'm thinking about the future, and these 2 job offers. I've been rejected more than 30 times for similar roles because I lack the required experience. Should I sacrifice my current job for one of these opportunities, or keep applying, hoping for a better offer? I can't help feeling ungrateful for doubting or rejecting what I've been hoping for all along. Thank you for listening to all this. I appreciate any advice and comments to help me decide. Hellfreezer's note. I am saying this from the perspective of someone who works in the UK and doesn't have to worry about health insurance and that sort of thing. Personally speaking, I would take the remote job. The hours are the same, and although the pay isn't great, you say you don't have a lot of bills, so it might be more spiritually fulfilling, as you say you do like to teach. And it would certainly fulfill that need for you, while you perhaps look for something that is even more rewarding. And who knows, it might blossom into something even better in the future. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Please Hold, episode 33. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. That way you'll be notified of new videos as and when they go up. In theory, if YouTube tells you, because I've been noticing more and more in the past few weeks, people saying that they just weren't being told when new videos went up. Also, if you'd be so good as to support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description, as little as $1 a month, it really does help. Okay, I don't think we have any other business today, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: electronic gadgets. Are you someone who prefers to have the latest and greatest no matter what, and you will sell on your current gadget? Like, say, phones, for example. Phones are a good example of this. Sell on the current one and then buy the newest, latest model. Or are you a bit like me, is you'll get the dang thing and you'll use it until it falls apart because you spent so much time finding exactly what you needed within your budget, and what you currently have meets every need you have until it just wears out. That's how I am with phones. I tend to use the crap out of them. I've had 1 or 2 in the past that didn't quite meet my needs, but even those I used until they wore out. My current phone is a Poco X3. It's a Xiaomi, or Xiaomi. I keep hearing different pronunciations, and I'm very, very happy with that. And that will get used until it is of no use at all. Either until it just doesn't get the software updates that needs to be functional, or it breaks down. But I take good care of my phones. I always put them in cases and use tempered glass screen protectors, even though, quite frankly, let's be honest, they're always nicer when they're not in a case. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. Foods you love but you don't eat as much of as you'd like for various reasons. Today's answer comes from, let's take a look-see, doing this one without pausing. Okay, I lied, I actually paused for a second there. What can I say? I'm a bad boy. Today's answer comes from Jessica Fowler. Salt and vinegar chips. Not hot chips, potato chips. Crisps, as we call them in the UK. The more vinegar flavouring, the better. Yum. That's fair enough. I always find if I buy like a multi-pack of crisps with the different flavours in it, salt and vinegar tends to get eaten last. I do like them, but I like pretty much every other flavour more. My favourites being cheese and onion, sour cream and onion, and prawn cocktail. Those are my favourites. Ooh, I just gave myself a craving for prawn cocktail. Don't think I've even got any crisps in the house. Drat. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.